TG Geeks episode 391, August 15th, 2022. World premiere movie talk. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre. You name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Ragginson, also coming to you from lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And let's get on with this show.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the two gay geeks are discussing this.
Well, in this episode, we have a special treat. We are talking to one of our most favoritist human beings on the planet, Patricia Chica, and also her co-writer on a film, Kamal John Iskander, and we're going to talk about the Montreal Girls, which has been in the works for a while, and the world premiere that's coming up on August the 20th. Have our birthday shout-outs, our featured podcast of the week, everybody's favorite feedback, regular shout-outs, and I'm probably not going to have enough
Nothing
time.
for second segment.
We ran a little long on the interview, which is just fine. And then we'll have our wacky weekly recap and our end of show credits, and let's get on with it. And this time we welcome to the show one of our very good friends, a great human being, Patricia Chica, filmmaker and director. And then we also have
co-writer in this too.
Co-writer on the film that we're going to talk about. And producer. And I think she took out the trash occasionally.
She probably had to handle craft services.
Exactly, yeah. And then we have Kamal John Iskander, who is a co-writer and a filmmaker in his own right. Welcome to the show, Patricia and Kamal.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. So happy to be here with you.
Yes, it's so good to talk to you again.
Yeah, so glad to have you back on the show. It's been far too long.
Exactly.
I know. I missed you guys and my two gay geeks that I love. Thank you for having us here today.
So Absolutely. And for those that don't know who Patricia Chica is, if you just give us a nutshell bio of yourself, because you have a wonderful story, and the way you've grown and become this mover and shaker in the film industry is, for me, I think it's incredible.
It's inspiring.
So tell us who Patricia Chica is in a nutshell.
Absolutely. I'm a director, writer, producer, filmmaker, and chi energy educator. So what I do is I tell stories with intention, with mindset psychology, to bring out the best in my collaborators and also the characters in my films. And I'm here also to share the journey that I've been through, because I believe that cinema, especially my responsibility as a storyteller, is to be as authentic as possible, so I can really drive the story forward with honesty.
Absolutely.
So that's what I do. And as you know me, I also work as a publicist, so I help other filmmakers reach and surpass their publicity goals and find strategies that will connect them with the best media, audiences worldwide, as well as decision makers.
Absolutely. And you're based in Montreal for most of the year. Well, during COVID, you were in Montreal all the time, but you also have a place in Los Angeles. So you work in both of those places to make films and do all of the things that you do. And you're just a wonderful human being. You came to our attention, oh my gosh, way early. We've been doing this for 8 years, I think 7 years ago.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and become a wonderful friend. And thank you for that. And
Oh, it's my pleasure.
absolutely.
Likewise.
And Kamal, tell us, who is Kamal, and how did you get into filmmaking, and what's going on with you?
Well, I started making films as a teenager, like a lot of filmmakers, and I was particularly interested in animation, and I thought my career was going to go into animation. I was working a lot with stop motion and you know, making sort of clay figurines and telling stories in that medium, and at some point it just became so sort of monotonous. I discovered, you know, Stanley Kubrick and Martin Scorsese and the Coen brothers and all these great filmmakers as a teenager, and I said, I want to do that. So I ended up going to film school, making films, got out, worked in production for quite, you know, a few years, and got to travel the world doing that. For companies like National Geographic and History Channel and Discovery Channel, and I was working primarily in the sound recording field, and so I was sort of the guy they would send to places like Africa and the Amazon, and I live in a hut for 6 weeks and
Right.
do documentaries on anacondas and tribes,
God.
you know, different tribes in, you know, Africa, and, you know, all kinds of different things. So it was pretty exciting. But, you know, I was always trying to write scripts and, you know, trying to make films. And about a decade ago, I made a short film called Jesus Comes to Town, which did pretty well on the festival circuit. I think it played in about 30 international film festivals, and it won some awards and all that jazz. So after that, you know, I was traveling quite a bit to different film festivals with that film, and that's where I met Patricia. We met in Texas at a film festival.
Texas.
And yeah,
Texas.
I believe it was was it in Houston? I think it was in Houston. And from there, we started, you know, we became friends, and we started talking about different projects and collaboration. And I think we were both interested in telling a story that sort of incorporated both of our, you know, experiences in the world in some way, or both of our sort of cultural experiences. So we started talking about different ideas, and Montreal Girls sort of sprang from that, you know, from those discussions, and we started sort of developing it, and it took quite a bit of time, but it came out and was painstakingly birthed, and very much a product of a lot of hard work and imagination, and certainly Patricia's just moxie. I mean, she just gets out there and really, like, when she's determined to get something done, it just gets done by hook or by crook. So
That dog. That.
I think it was something I recognized in her early on, and I felt like she would be a good collaborator. So
That dogged determination.
Tenacity.
Tenacity, yes. And you, both of you wrote and co-wrote and filmed Tricky Treat together, which is one of my favorite little short.
Something we have to watch every Halloween.
Absolutely, and I show it to everybody because I think it's
still
just
going.
brilliant.
This short is the longest running short in the festival circuit.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
still going on after 7 years.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Every Halloween, I get emails of programmers wanting to show it. So
Oh, cool.
it's always, I believe, a timeless little funny tale.
Oh, it is. It is.
Well, I think
The
that
treat that keeps on tricking.
yeah, well,
Exactly.
it speaks to the genius of the both of you, because I mean that it is so unexpected.
yes.
I mean, the twist in that is not like anything you could have possibly imagined. It's, I mean, in that respect, it is pure genius.
Yep. And
It is pure genius. That's what I loved about Kamal's writing. It's so funny and it's unpredictable and it always keeps challenging your expectations. And that's what I love about great storytelling. It's when I collaborate with writers like Kamal, it's like they keep pushing the boundaries and pushing me up to my limits to go further to where it's obvious or more mainstream or commercial, to always have that vision of getting the audiences hooked, but in a way that they don't expect.
exactly.
And I love that about Kamal's writing.
Yeah.
Okay, so since
Did you
we're
collaborate on what was the
morning after,
No.
Okay.
What was the Medusa? Shoot.
Serpent's Lullaby.
Serpent's Lullaby. Did you collaborate on that one or?
Not that
No.
one.
That
I
one.
mean, Kamal has always been around giving me notes and guidance. He's always somebody that I highly respect in his opinion, and I will always send him rough cuts and things like that to comment on. So he always collaborates, but not specifically on that one as a writer.
That one was my first introduction to your filmmaking, and I that one is just, it's probably my all-time favorite of your
yeah,
shorts. I mean,
thank you.
Trick or Treat is it's cool and in a different way, but as far as the drama, the Serpent's Lullaby is fabulous. But we're not here to talk about all of that.
no, we're here to talk
We
about
are here
to
Go
talk about Montreal Girls. So
yes.
before we go any further on that, Kamal, give us a quick little rundown. What is Montreal Girls?
And what is it somewhat biographical, or is it,
Or is it purely fiction? What?
yeah. How did you come up with that?
Montreal Girls is really sort of a product of, going to film festivals, seeing the kind of stories that, people sort of respond to, and saying, well, we can try and do that ourselves, So there was a lot of, I think, stories around that time of, people sort of, cultural stories, sort of like culture clash stories, if you will.
Right.
So I thought, I'm Middle Eastern. I could write a Middle Eastern protagonist. And when Patricia and I started talking, and I became familiar with her story and her background, we sort of decided to incorporate the two sort of things, the two ideas together, because it felt like it would be a universal story to tell about somebody from another culture landing in Montreal and sort of trying to get their bearings in the world, not only environmentally, like it's a new place, but also sort of spiritually, or I don't know if spiritually is the right word, but
In this case, yes.
definitely sort of. What's that?
In this case, I would say so, because for everything that we've learned about Montreal, it's almost like a new Bohemia. And for someone who's Middle Eastern, especially some of those countries, they tend to be a bit more, I don't want to say restrictive, but definitely very structured.
Restrictive is more.
Okay,
is a
restrictive.
better word.
Okay, restrictive.
I mean,
and then
it's not really my story because I grew up in Los Angeles. I immigrated here with my parents, and my parents have been pretty liberal and very supportive and everything else. But I think when Patricia and I started talking, she was telling me a bit about her background, and it sounded like something that would fit in terms of presenting it as a Middle Eastern protagonist. So we started, weaving the threads together, so to speak, and this is primarily like a fish out of water culture clash story, and the protagonist has a great epiphany at the end, simply because I hate calling him the protagonist because it sounds so clinical. His name is Rami, and he's coming to Montreal to be to go to medical school essentially, and decides not to pursue that because he has this grand bohemian kind of experience, and decides to throw caution to the wind and become a poet.
I can identify with that.
A little.
And that's the beauty. That's the beauty about those intercultural collaborations. What I love about the story of Rami is that he is Middle Eastern, like Kamal. So from that perspective, the character is very authentic, because Kamal was the guide of the soul, the essence of that character. And for the Montreal Girls, being one of them myself, it was my take on what these characters were about, knowing my own culture and more especially the subcultures of Montreal. So blending our two visions together really created this very unique story that you wouldn't be able to see anywhere else. And when I moved to LA in 2014, Kamal and I would live on the same street on North Beachwood Drive, and I was missing Montreal. I was longing for the wild nights and in the underground bars and all my friends in the subcultures, and that's when really the script took the real shape it has today, that identity of crossover cultures and a foreigner coming to Montreal, and how the girls will affect his trajectory of life and reveal his destiny to him. So that's what happens when you work internationally, with other collaborators, and you bring those global perspectives into one single story.
Absolutely. So this was kind of an off and on thing. I know we talked to you. I sent you a note about Montreal Girls when you were just first beginning to start thinking of making it. Well, I mean, it probably was going on long before that, but there were so many things that happened in the last 4 years that have kind of...
Not the least of which was COVID.
Exactly. That threw up challenges to making this film. Tell us about some of those challenges and some of the other challenges that you found in trying to make this film.
Absolutely. Well, one of the main challenges was COVID. Is we were ready to shoot before the pandemic, and then we were in lockdown. So we had to rewrite completely the script from page one. Each scene had to be rewritten through the lens of distancing limitations and laws and regulations from all the guilds and unions and from the government as well. So we had to cut a lot of scenes. We were not allowed to have extras anymore unless they were all living under the same roof. So imagine the challenges we had to go through. We had to find families who were willing to come and be extras together so they could sit at the bar together.
Wow.
Or roommates, like we found there were 5 or 6 roommates, like all students in one apartment under the same address.
Well, that
and
was
we had
lucky.
to bring them together to be extras, brothers and sisters to play classmates in the classroom. So everything had to be rewritten. Even the dialogue was affected by COVID because we couldn't say, hey, we're going to this show at the bar, when we couldn't have a scene with a bar full of extras. So we had to say we're shooting a music video at the bar and some friends will hang out, So then you had to justify everything. And it's a romantic drama, so there's elements of intimacy and kissing, touching, being together. There's three characters that are in a love triangle together, and we had to limit that by hiring the boyfriend of the actress or the roommate of the other actress, same sex. They had to kiss, and one other character became a same sex, like a queer character, because we couldn't find the opposite sex to be kissing them,
Interesting.
So it affected the story in a way, but at the end of the day, when you watch the film, you wouldn't tell we had all those limitations. And I believe that for me, it was a matter of believing in the project and not giving up and just, rolling my sleeve and telling the team, let's make this happen. And we have all these challenges and limitations and also the lack of budget because COVID costs more. You have to pay like 20% more over budget.
Right.
And we can make this happen and let's do it. So I'm very proud of the work everybody did and the support that I've got from the team and the cast mainly. And using energy with the cast during the rehearsals really allowed them to create that space of intimacy, even though they couldn't have that physical closeness.
Exactly.
With each other.
Yeah, I was going to say that your spirituality and the way you approach life in general, as well as the work that you have done with Chi Energy, is probably helped you get over some of these hurdles or jump some of these hurdles and make it a palatable experience, shall we say.
what I'm and also what I'm saying is that it sort of reflects on the film as well, because I've seen so many other projects where they've had to retrofit changes due to unforeseen circumstances, and as a viewer, you can see that it's painful and it's jarring. But when I see what you do, and I'm right now, all I have to go on is the trailer alone. But what I sense is even flow, a very even flow of energy. So that says to me that your approach to life and how you do your work has clearly it's clearly manifested in the final product, in that you find a way to make these changes and to make them flow very smoothly. It's like, okay, I no longer have, the square peg that needs to fit into the round hole. I am now going to shave this square peg so that it is round and that it will fit. I mean, you find a way so that it does flow very evenly without any, without taking the audience out of the movie watching experience, shall we say.
So, Kamal, did you want to add to challenges or...
I mean, from a story perspective, it was challenging because, not to date the material, but, we've been developing this project for a long, long time, and I feel like in the middle of all of that, there's been these seismic cultural and political shifts, certainly in the last few years. The world has changed, like, so dynamically and completely that, the story we started telling was sort of it had to be kind of fluid and change, and, it sort of evolved into something else. I think the original stuff was kind of darker and funnier and less concerned with, like, the protagonist's transformation, and more, I think it was a bit more brooding in places. It was just something that had to kind of evolve over the time period that we were working on it. So the other thing is, when we started writing it, like rock and roll music was still kind of part of the culture, and that has sort of completely dissipated. And So just
It
little
still
things
lives
like
in
that,
this house.
Well, yeah,
What's
but
that?
well,
It still lives in this house.
yeah, but that's because we're old farts. That's why.
Right. So I mean, it's just a lot of little things. The way like sort of people engage is different. You know,
Right.
the way people, the dating sort of aspects of, or courtship or whatever you want to call it, has changed and is evolving, in a very interesting way. So all of that had to sort of be considered, I think, and the movie now sort of reflects all of those changes, I think, in a very profound way.
One thing that
They do.
Oh, go ahead.
May I just want to add an example so people can understand the context. For example, texting. It's the story of Montreal Girls has very young, early 20s characters, and the Gen Z or the millennials, they text constantly, but they don't check their voicemail. I don't even check my voicemail, so if anybody leaves me a voicemail, I will never hear it. But when we started writing the script, those habits were different. We are from a different generation, so I had to fight in the edit to convince people who were older in the team that no, he did not get the voicemail because he doesn't check that app. He's always on Instagram or other apps, right? And it just changes the story, and we had to rewrite with ADR certain dialogue lines that fitted more how those young people are today than how we were when we were in our early 20s ourselves.
Right.
So, yeah.
He started on Friendster, and then he went to MySpace, and then he went.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
how
going.
long this took.
And you forgot AOL. You forgot AOL.
Oh my God.
Well, it wasn't that long.
But you do kind of bring something up, Kamal.
We've been working on it for 30 years.
Well, in a
We
way,
used to fax our messages to people.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. We smoke smoke signals.
Right.
So Kamal,
Got distracted by smoke signals.
so obviously this is a story that's been living in your head for a long time, and this is something I usually ask of authors, but you're in a
morbid.
well, no, it's not. But you're in a unique position in that it took so long to get this poor thing birthed, and you've had these characters living in your head all this time. Now, at some point, and like I said, I ask this of authors because the answer is always universal, and which is a resounding yes. But in your case, I'm curious. Did at any point these characters actually sort of start to come alive to the point where, I mean, obviously each character is going to have his or her or their own unique voice, but did it ever get to the point where you felt like they started talking to you and they guided you as to how their characters were to evolve and grow in the story?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, the longer you work on something, and a lot of the characters are sort of pastiches of, people we know. So that those voices come in stronger and stronger, and, the more you work on it, the more they start to resemble real life, flesh and blood characters. Mm-hmm. So at some point they sort of develop personalities, if you will, and they speak to you in some way. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's more like, patterns emerge, and you just follow those patterns, and the characters take on a life of their own, I think, at that point. Yeah. So it becomes easier. It writes itself, as they say.
Yeah. I have, after watching the trailer, and then I would just want to give you a couple of things that I saw in the trailer that stand out to me, and then we'll kind of wrap this up and let you tell everybody where it's going to world premiere. But in the trailer, obviously, Patricia, your filmmaking and your
use of imagery
is very apparent, and I love some of the the shots that you get and the way they're framed and the way they're put together. It is incredible filmmaking. And I also noticed that you seem to have this sense of people achieving their authentic selves and being who they are and having the freedom to do that. Namely, that specific end scene of the trailer where Hakeem is reaching out. I mean, that's very reminiscent of Morning After and the end scene of that one. So I just wanted to say that it's just, you are an auteur, truly.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's a reflection of who I am, that character, and it has always been very clear to me that he had to go through hardships and challenges and setbacks to overcome his fears and realize who he really is. And, you know, the shorts that I've done before were just leading me to tell this more grander story on a larger duration. And you're right. There's something about Morning After at the end of Montreal Girls. It's the same location where the movie ends. And I believe for me, the Montreal, which is the mountain in Montreal, is where I go when I'm just going through something that I need to release. I hike up there and I do my meditation up there. So it's very personal to me to go on the Belvedere.
Cool.
So, yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something we both noticed. I would just say that.
And then the rain.
Yeah, the rain coming down as he's got his arms outstretched. Like, yeah, that's a really strong image.
Yeah, it's so.
And that was not scripted, by the way. We were just filming the role of Hakeem riding his moped around town, and suddenly there was this huge storm, and they were calling, okay, let's cut the cameras, let's go, dry up. And I just told the cameraman, keep rolling, just roll this. Let's get this rain in the shots. And it was very beautiful. It was all improvisation, and it made it to the final cut.
Yeah, and rain is very cleansing.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it was one of the most beautiful. I've seen so many trailers for independent projects that are they feel. I don't want to say cookie cutter, but it's almost like mismatched jigsaw puzzle. That they're trying to shove all these pieces together, and yet I saw that and thought, well, that is one of the best shot and best put together trailers I've seen in a long time. So needless to say, my interest in this film has just gone way the heck up. Which now brings the question of, this movie's about to have its grand premiere.
Yeah, world premiere. Tell us about that.
Yes, and you're coming. I'm so excited you will be joining us.
Yes.
We
are very excited.
Well, in the era of transparency, we are involved behind the scenes in some way.
Yeah.
Yes, and I am so grateful that you'll be there. So we're premiering this upcoming Saturday, August 20th at CineQuest, and they gave us the prime time first Saturday night. It's an 1,100-seat historical theater called the California Theater in San Jose, California. And there's going to be a red carpet, cast and crew, and celebrities will come. Middle Eastern people from the community will be there. And I'm very excited
to... From the Middle East.
Yeah. No. I wish, but we're going to be traveling to other festivals as well, and their commercial release in theaters across Canada will be in the spring of 2023, and we're looking for U.S. Sales and distribution to accompany us in the distribution of the film in the U.S.
Cool.
Far out. Well, this is great. So let me close off with this. People need to follow the both of you because the talent that I'm talking to right now is totally mind-blowing, and I love what you continue to put out. So where can people find the both of you on any social media presence? Kamal, let's start with you. I mean, do you have any website or social media presence by which people can follow you?
Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook, etc.?
You can find me at the local bar with my head slumped on the counter.
And a bottle of scotch.
I have a homepage. It's kamaljohniskander.com. You know.
Okay.
And I have like a Facebook. I don't know what you'd call it, an artist page, I suppose.
Okay.
Which is my name, and that's really the extent of my social media.
Okay.
All right. And Patricia, what about you?
You're everywhere.
Yeah, you're everywhere.
I'm all over social media, so just Google Patricia Chica or Chicatronica, and the best way to find everything about Montreal Girls is by going to the official website, montrealgirlsmovie.com, and all the links, bios to everyone, everything is located in one single location, so you'll be able to find us there.
Super. This has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for being on our show. We look forward to seeing this film and just getting to see both of you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Two Gay Geeks. I love you.
We love you too.
Hey, this is Josh Hurley, narrator of The Last Son and the Hanged Man by Katie Edwards, and you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
And here's a few selected birthdays for August 15th through August the 21st, 2022. And we're going to breeze right through these things because we have very little time. August 15th, Julia Child.
Julia Child.
Yes, American cooking teacher, author, and television personality. She is recognized for bringing French cuisine to the American public with her debut cookbook, Mastering the Art of French Cooking, and her subsequent television programs, the most notable of which was The French Chef, which premiered in 1963. Wendy Hiller, an English film and stage actress who enjoyed a varied acting career that spanned nearly 60 years. She was a no-nonsense actress who literally took command of the screen whenever she appeared on the film. Despite many notable film performances, she primarily wanted to remain a stage actress. She was also she played the Princess Dragomirov in the Orient Express, Murder on the Orient Express,
Yes.
the original.
The original.
And then we have friend of ours, Irene Huang. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And then Anne Roberts,
Well,
who
we
left
miss
us
you, Anne.
way too soon.
Way
Happy
too soon.
birthday
We
in
love you,
heaven.
Anne.
August 16th, James Cameron, Canadian filmmaker, best known for making science fiction and epic films. First gained recognition for directing The Terminator in 1984.
Brilliant
Yep.
movie.
Aliens, The Abyss, Terminator 2, True Lies, Titanic, Avatar, and
Finally getting the Avatar sequels.
Yep, and the filmed in 3D technology earned him nominations in the same categories. Leslie Ann Warren, actress, brilliant in
Yes.
Victoria. Oh my gosh, just stunning. Julie Newmar.
Statuesque.
Thanks for the min. I was going to say that.
Sorry.
Actress. That's from Tuong Fu.
Yeah.
Statuesque. Well, that's exactly what I was
gonna
going to say. And Catwoman. And then we have friend of ours, David Wagner. Happy birthday,
Happy
David.
birthday.
August 17th, Helen McCrory, actress. Narcissa Malfoy in the Harry Potter series.
Oh,
And Mama Jean in Hugo.
I loved
and
her.
she was in Skyfall. Oh my gosh, she
loved
was
her.
a fabulous
And
actress.
she left us way too soon.
Absolutely.
I've seen documentaries where they interview the cast members and they weep over her passing because they just adored her.
And then we have Margaret Hamilton. No, not the green Margaret Hamilton. The American computer scientist, system engineer, and business owners. She was director of the software engineering division of the MIT Instrumentation Laboratory, which developed onboard flight software for NASA's Apollo program. She later founded two software companies, High Order Software in 1976 and Hamilton Technologies in 1986, both in Cambridge, Massachusetts. August 18th, Antonio Salieri, An Italian classical composer, conductor, and teacher. He was born in south of Verona in the Republic of Venice and spent his adult life and career as a subject of the Habsburg monarchy. Also was featured heavily in Amadeus.
Yeah.
Some of it is maybe
a lot of it.
apocryphal, but he was a leader in opera at that time until Mozart came.
Yep.
Then we have Virginia Dare. She was born August 18th, 1587 in Roanoke Colony. Her date of death is unknown and was the first English child born in the New World English colony, Roanoke Island and in that area. What became of Virginia and the other colonists remains a mystery. The fact of her birth is known because John White, Virginia's grandfather and the governor of colony, returned to England in 1587 to seek fresh supplies. When White eventually returned 3 years later, the colonists were gone. Yep.
Nobody knows to this day.
Exactly. We've been there, and our friends,
it's an
Brendan
interesting
and Gordon
place.
are actually out there right now in that area, and it's fascinating.
Oh,
Fascinating.
totally.
August 19th, Orville Wright, along with his brother, was an American aviation pioneer, generally credited with inventing, building, and flying the world's first successful motor-operated airplane. They made the first controlled sustained flight of a powered heavier-than-air aircraft with the Wright Flyer on December 17th, 1903, 4 miles south of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
Is that Kill Devil Hill?
Kill Devil's Hill.
Kill Devil's Hill, that's
Kill
it.
Devil Hills.
Kill Devil Hills.
I always get
Oy.
that. I always
Where does
kills Devil's Hills.
Yeah, where does that S go?
Where does the S go?
Yeah.
Yes. And they were also the first to invent aircraft controls that made fixed-wing powered flight possible. Gene Roddenberry, the great bird of the galaxy. Yes. American television screenwriter, producer, and creator of Star Trek: The Original Series and Star Trek Animated Series, Next Generation, yada, yada, yada. Born in El Paso. He grew up in Los Angeles, where his father was a police officer, and he flew combat missions in World War II, and was later a commercial pilot after the war, and survived 2 crashes.
I know. I'm glad he decided not to fly planes anymore.
Exactly. And he wrote television scripts while he was working for the Los Angeles Police. And then just a couple of interesting things to add. There were several people on this day
They had birthdays with him.
that were Star Trek people, and we're just going to mention them. Diana Muldaur, Jonathan Frakes, and William Marshall.
Far out.
And then we have a friend of ours, Dragan Sotalo, and David R. Slayton.
Happy birthday, David.
Fabulous
Marvelous
author.
writer.
Oh, my gosh.
Can't wait for the 3rd Trailer Park Trickster or whatever the book is called.
Yep.
You know, White Trash Warlock, the 3rd book.
Yep. August 20th, Alan Lee is an English book illustrator and film conceptual designer. He's best known for his artwork inspired by J.R.R. Tolkien's fantasy novels and for his work on the conceptual design of Peter Jackson's film adaptations of Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, and the Hobbit film series. Speaking of, Sylvester McCoy, Scottish actor, gaining
Radagast
prominence
the Brown.
as a physical comedian. He became best known for playing the 7th incarnation of the Doctor in the long-running science fiction television series. What is this, Doctor
what?
Doctor what? Who?
Who?
Who? The final Doctor of the original run, and briefly returning to television in 1996. He also
Just to die.
Yes, for his work as Radagast in The Hobbit. August 21st, Bartolomeo Giuseppe Guarneri, Italian luthier from Guarneri family in Cremona. He rivals Antonio Stradivari with regard to the respect and reverence accorded to his instruments. And for many prominent players and collectors, his instruments are the most coveted of all. There's fewer Guarneri instruments than there are Stradivarius. His instruments made by Guarneri are often referred to as Del Jesus. Lily Boulanger was a French composer and the first female winner of the Prix de Rome Composition Prize. Her older sister was the noted composer and composition teacher Nadia Boulanger. And then we have a friend of ours, Kevin Held. Happy birthday,
Happy
Kevin.
birthday, Kevin.
Ari Marino and
Katie Edwards.
Katie Edwards.
What more
birthday.
needs to be said?
No more needs to be said. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama Podcast.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Yes, it's time for our feedback. We're flying through this. These are comments that we received in response to articles and episodes that we ran on our website at tggeeks.com, and the links for each of these will be in the show notes for this episode number 391 at tggeeks.com, starting with regarding Hamish Downey's 5 More Questions with Eloy, also known as Strays of the World. Got a comment from Hamish saying, "Here's my follow-up interview with Strays of the World for the release of their sophomore album, Chaos All." Very apt title considering the world this past couple of years.
Exactly.
It's a great, really. It's a great album, so please check out the interview. And then moving on, regarding TG Geeks episode number 388, we did a birthday shout out to David Warner, who then decides to depart this planet. And we got
before the episode airs.
Before the episode even airs. So we get a comment.
In fact, it was, I think it was right
after we recorded it, I think.
that we said, "Oh my God,
yeah,
he died."
oh my God, he's dead." And then we got a comment from Arkle. He left this on our YouTube channel saying, "I started listening to this episode shortly after having read that David Warner had died. Was not aware his birthday was going to be this week." Oof. It was just one of those weird moments.
Yep.
And in that episode, we also talked about this really fascinating 80s sci-fi documentary that I forgot that I backed us on. That's why I got it. And I thought it was from my friend Corey, because she used to live in Livermore, which is where this came from. And so she responds, and she left this on Twitter. "Love that you thought I sent the box from Livermore 80s sci-fi. Sorry, it was not me, but a crowdfunding you contributed to. I would love to watch that. Good reason to visit soon.
Yep.
Get comfortable. It's a very long documentary." Also got a comment from Carrie Merrill. We gave her a birthday shout out. She says, "Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure hearing from you." And then we also did a lovely tribute to the mother of Devette C., who we had met. And she was a lovely woman.
Martha Thomas.
She had just passed. And we got a comment from Devette saying, "Keith and Ben, thank you both for your lovely words about my mother. The picture we took when we all went out to dinner with you was on the wall in her bedroom."
Oh.
That's so touching.
Wow.
And that is our feedback.
You can leave comments on our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. You can even comment on our episodes at YouTube, or you can go directly to tggeeks.com and comment on each episode or each article that we publish there. We also have a listener feedback line. If you would choose to leave us a voicemail, that would be fabulous. We'll play it on air. You can call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice.
For more than 2 decades, Judy and Dennis Shepard have honored their son Matt by working to erase hate around the world. The Matthew Shepard Foundation honors his legacy by inspiring the good work of activists, teachers, artists and legislators, and everyday LGBTQ+ folks and their allies. Join us today in helping to erase hate. Visit MatthewShepard.org.
Thank you to NBC Comcast Universal for that promo. Just going to shout out here, please support independent creators like Patricia and Kamal.
Mm-hmm.
They are independent filmmakers. Others that you find, please support them. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Well, we don't have a second segment.
Not today.
Not today.
And this is our weekly review. These are things we ran on our website at teachgeeks.com this past week, and the links for each of these will be in the show notes for this episode, number 391, that you can find at teachgeeks.com. Starting with Sunday, August 7th, Nerdy Chupacabras number 112. On Monday the 8th, TG Geeks episode number 390. On Tuesday the 9th, Rendezvous Champagne will present its Natural Champagne DPA's pre-awards. You need to take a look at that one. On Wednesday the 10th, Patricia Chica's Montreal Girls web premiere at world premiere at Cinequest Film Festival. On Thursday the 11th, Catherine Called Birdie will release in theaters September 23rd and globally on Prime Video October 7th. On Friday the 12th, Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Amy Chavez. And on Saturday the 13th, official clip from 3,000 Years of Longing. That movie looks to be really good. We have some shout-outs that we need to make. First, to our good friend Arkle. We heard feedback from him a little bit earlier. He has his Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News, which does republish some of our content from time to time. And to find the Post-Dispatch News, you need to find him on Twitter. And you do that by looking for Brian the Ampersand List YouTuber, or you can search for him as at Geek of All Trades, and geek is spelled the letter G, the number 3, the letter K of all trades. And while you're doing while you're searching for things Arkle, go to his YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/Arkle Studios. He's got a number of projects there, including his Shameless Cash Grab season, which has just wrapped. Oh, I thought you were going to say something there.
Oh.
We must also give some shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours. Big thanks to their moderators for saying that we could share away our content. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek for the same thing. And their web address is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And as always, we give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Other places we can be found are Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Sci-Fi Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays for a replay, and listen to their other content. They are a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And And that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We'll have several links on the page of things we talked about, especially of Montreal Girls. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357 from TG Squared Studios. I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Live and be your authentic self, no matter what the world tells you. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Stay safe, wear a mask, get vaccinated. Peace.
Adieu, adieu to you and you and you.